It just happened that before I was ready to test the intaglio plate on Frigate Press Number 4, that Margaret McCarty of Seattle, who has a printmaking salon every month, brought her group to the mini art gallery, and I decided to print a relief plate made by Rick Miller on his CNC router. He had accidentally programmed the router to cut it backward, and I said that, well, it would make a good printing block. So I brought it back to the studio, and when Margaret and her friends came, I used the opportunity to show how to use the Frigate press, or any of the Halfwood presses, to print a relief block.
That water paper can take a lot. I want it to work the first time. Boy, it's sticky. Ooh, look at that.
Wow.
Perfect. Isn't that nice? It's really black, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Hi, I'm Bill Ritchie, and I'm going to test Frigate Halfwood Press Number 4, which is going to Stephen in North Carolina, I think it is. He will be getting a number of things with the press. The felt blankets, for example, 1, 2, 3. The roller blanket, the pusher, or the forming blanket, and the sizing catcher. I'll be using those when I print in this demonstration. The press also comes with the PressGhost, which is a USB extension cord, and a little book that explains the PressGhost, my brains in the flash memory drive. More about that later. Also, every press comes with some set screw wrenches, or Allen wrenches, hex wrenches, for tightening any of the set screws. There are 4 total. They seldom need tightening, but just in case it does come up, I include them with the press. A user's manual is always nice, and inside the user's manual I like to stick in some business card and some postcards, and in this case a nice greeting card from a show that I was in recently, and this is the print that I'll be printing today for the test for number 4. And as a bonus, I'm including a paperback book, Halfwood Press, The Story, which I wrote several years ago. And oh look, some more goodies. And it includes my saga, The Ballad of the Halfwood Press, in the back, and all the owners of presses, without, of course, the person who owns this press, because that book was printed beforehand. Now I'll get started. I have squeezed out some Charbonnel black ink. I added a drop of burnt plate oil to make it soft and easy to wipe. The plate is a copper plate, 16 gauge etching from a show I was in recently. This is a rubber squeegee. You can also use an ordinary piece of chipboard or mat board. Now I'm ready to begin the wiping. I'll be using tarlatan to wipe the plate. I also have a little hot plate ready to go here. And I like to move my plate around with a piece of telephone book paper. In the first of the wiping, I'm really just moving the ink around, making sure that all the textures and lines are filled with that oil-based ink. Warming the plate, make sure that the ink is very soft and easy to wipe. Oil-based inks wipe more easily when they're warm. Now it's time to set up the press. The pressure settings are rather simple, since the Frigate press and all the Halfwood presses from the pram on up have a connecting chain that makes it so that you can turn one screw and they both go up. That's fine until you get a lot of pressure, and then you have to use both hands because the chain is not meant to be stressed. So I raise the roller as high up as convenient to get the blankets underneath. The first one to go down is the sizing catcher. That one will be right next to the printing plate, paper in the printing plate. Second one is the forming blanket, which gives you a nice impression all around the plate. And the third one is the roller blanket. Then I can tighten it back down. How much pressure is always a matter of practice. I think that's probably good enough for a 16 gauge plate. If I'm into numbers and such, I can always use the roller rulers. The roller rulers are two brass rulers on each side of the printing block that holds the top roller. There's one on the passive side and one on the active side. When I print, I like to put down a piece of damp newsprint. The bed is a polycarbonate, and it has also a sheet of plastic adhesive on top, but it's kind of slick. And because it's kind of slick, it's a good idea to put down a piece of damp newsprint, underneath the plate, like so. And then the plate, and that will prevent the plate from skidding on that very smooth plastic surface. And finally the paper. This is Arches cover. Arches cover paper makes a nice printing paper. Now, from my years of practice, I can tell when it reaches the paper, and then I can feel it when it reaches the plate. The press is geared approximately 3 to 1, so it makes turning the plate through very easy. I could probably do it with one hand. Of course, the tighter it is, the harder it will be to print. Now, for the benefit of the video camera, I'll turn the press around. The press weighs about 30 pounds. Often you can judge by looking at the impression on the back as to whether it was sufficient pressure. I believe it was. Now, my practice is to use what's called a moment number. That's when you put down the year and the month. This is 2013, and it's the month of May, and today's the 23rd. I also put down the hour by using the 24-hour clock, and it is 1920. print looks a little light to me. That sometimes happens with the very first trial proof. And I had a feeling when I was putting it through that it might be a little too easy, maybe not enough pressure. So I'll make a second trial proof. This time I'm going to turn it down a quarter turn.
Several hours before I started this demonstration, I took several pieces of my Arches cover paper and soaked it under water. I held it down with a weight to keep it from floating. And I took it out of the water after a couple hours and blotted it dry, blotted off the surface water. Then I got my newsprint that I would be using for my press bed, and I sprayed it. Several sheets of newsprint to have ready. I sprayed them so they were all evenly damp. And then I interleaved them with the Arches paper, made sure they were all equally dampened, and then I put the whole set of papers interleaved into a plastic bag, folded it up so it was sealed, and then I put a weight, just a flat piece of board, over the top of it.
My newsprint down first to keep the plate from sliding. I inked and wiped the plate a second time. Check the side of the paper that I like to print on. I always like the rough side. Most papers have a smooth side and a rough side. Moment number. Moment number. That's more like it. So it was just a matter of the pressure. Now, about that PressGhost. The cable comes in a little box, and there's a little book that explains everything that I'm going to show right now. But I'm not going to uncoil that cable. I'll use this one. One end goes into the PressGhost. You have to kind of hold that little red thing out, otherwise it'll get pushed in. And then you connect the other one to any kind of computer, or a PC anyway. I'm not sure about Macintosh because I don't have Macintosh. This is a little notebook, and it's treated just like an extra drive. You've actually added another drive to the computer. So I look for the index, double click on that, and brings up the PressGhost coming from the computer. And from here you have the user's manual, you have about the Halfwood Press, which is where our owners are, also user's manuals, all the pictures. The owners, let's see the owner of this press. There's his page, it's also on the web. And let's look at the page for the pram. Now sometimes when you open a page and it has a video attached to it, the PC or some computers will have a warning because it's a large file. And it opens a window for a video, and so it goes. So that's how the PressGhost works. Thanks for watching.